Hello, everyone. This is George from the GATS program. I'm a program assistant in the cloud track. Okay, so today we'll be doing a Pluralsight 101. Show us some tips and tricks as to better understand the platform and utilize the resources and the content on the platform to the best of your ability. All right, so first, when you sign up for the program, you ought to have received a link, and that link is associated with an email. So assuming you log in and you don't see for the cloud track, you're part to become an associate cloud engineer, or you're part to become an associate Android developer, then it's most likely you used another email to sign into or sign up for Pluralsight. If that is the case, you're definitely sure. First thing you need to do is send a mail to GADS, not GADS, Pluralsight, at support@pluralsight.com. Tell them you can't access your phase 1 content. They will check to see if your email is registered. If it's not, and they get back to you, all you need to do is go back to your email application, do a search using keywords like GADS, register, sign up, so that you can find that particular email. Once you do that, then you look at the link that was given to you previously. Click that link once more, and if the link is not working, then you do this: sign out of your current Pluralsight, then sign in using that email, okay, or sign up using that email, because since you didn't use that email to sign up initially, you won't have a password associated with that email, so you need to go for the sign up option. When you do that and you sign in to the platform, then you should be able to see your phase 1 content. If that doesn't work, then please send a mail, putting in that mail, adding your the right email in that mail to support@pluralsight.com. They should be able to help you. Okay, so let me sign out. Let me sign out briefly. Let's look to see. There should be an option to sign up as well as to sign into the platform. Sorry about my internet, it's a bit slow. Okay, so there you go. All right, so sign in. Let's click on this. Okay, so sign in, skill this, skill that. Try for free. Click on that. So let's click on this. All right, there you go. Okay, so assuming you get to this point after you discovered the email you used to sign up for the program, simply click on create an account. Okay, when you do that, it takes you through the process. Once that email is part of the program and you successfully create an account using that email, you'll definitely see your phase 1 content on your dashboard. Okay, so if you get in there and you don't see that phase 1 content, make sure you're on the home screen in your on Pluralsight. If you are there, you should see phase 1 channels. Okay, so you click on this and make sure you're in phase 1. Okay, so excuse me there. So for cloud learners, you have phase 1 channels. You have Associate Cloud Engineer Learning phase 1 foundation channels. That is where you should start. Let me zoom in a bit. Okay, that is where you should start from. Okay, that is where you should start from, the foundation channels. Then after that, you go into deep dive. Okay, so let's click into the foundation channel. me zoom out. Okay, so once you get in here, if this is your first time of coming here, then you'll be given this will appear as join. So you just need to click on it. That's very important. You need to click on this button so that you join this channel. When you do that, then you can better track your progress. Okay, so when you come here, one of the first things you would likely want to do is take a skill IQ test. Now, this test can be taken every 30 days. If you look at the timeline of the program, within that period, at the end of 30 days, you should be getting ready to move into the next phase. So if you take this at the beginning, if you take this skill IQ test, that will give you an idea of what you're expected to know, and that will tell you your level of understanding of the content. Okay, so that when consuming the content, you'll be more focused and plan better as to what you really need to get to know. Okay, so don't be upset, don't be angry if you get something quite low, maybe you get a mark of 50. Don't bother about that. I bet you when you come back, you will hit above 100 when you do it the next time after consuming content. So take this, okay? Take this skill IQ test. Then after that, you go into cloud computing, the big picture. It gives you an overall view of what cloud computing is all about. Then after that, you go to Essential Google Cloud Infrastructure Foundation. It goes into different aspects of Google Cloud that will give you a foundational understanding of Google Cloud as a cloud provider, cloud service provider. After that, we have core infrastructure. Okay, it brings out different core infrastructure in the cloud, Google Cloud, and then tries to explain it to you. After that, you go into core services. Okay, then you move into Elastic Cloud Infrastructure, Scaling and Automation. Scaling and automation, you need to actually understand core services and the core infrastructure before going into scaling and automation, because these are processes and techniques that are applied on core services that you would have studied, and it's something that you need to have the prerequisites in the core services and the core infrastructure to be able to understand how to use scaling and automation. Okay, so after that, we go into architecting with Google Cloud Kubernetes Engine foundations. Now, this will give you a foundation understanding of Kubernetes. Then after that, you look at preparing for Associate Cloud Engineer. This will include tips and the rest of them that will help you to do that. But we'll quickly go through that. Let me first of all go into foundation. Let's see what foundation has for us. Okay, there we have introduction, interacting with Google Cloud. This is extremely important. Most of us have issues on how to interact with the cloud. Please do yourself a favor and take your time to go through this. Interaction with Google Cloud will teach you how to use the console, teach you means by which you can interact with the cloud, mobile SDK installed on your system, of course, the Cloud Shell and console. All right. Then you talk about virtual networks. This is extremely important because everything is grouped as a project, mostly as a project in Google Cloud. Resources are associated with a project, and then these projects, depending if you're using compute resources, then you will need a VPC, virtual private cloud, to enable communication, restricted and controlled communications between different components of your infrastructure. So that's very important. Then, of course, for compute, you talk about virtual machines. Most of the services and core infrastructure have to do with computing. So you need to get an understanding of what computing is. What's computing? Your computer. Just put it that way. That computer, that laptop, that desktop you're using, we have virtual versions of this on the cloud. And when you create services, you would most likely run these services on this compute resources. Okay, whether it's serverless, platform as a service, infrastructure as a service, function as a service. All of these are actually deployed to compute instances, which you need to understand and need to understand how these compute resources interact in a virtual private cloud. Okay, so after that, you look at core course resources. Let's go into introduction. Now, another thing you need to really take note of, we've had so many complaints about people who talk about where are these labs? How can I find these labs? I'm assuming you skip through the labs and you don't really take your time to walk. Sorry, not you skip through the content. Each module builds on the previous module. Introduction, brief introduction about Google Cloud. Then you go into interacting with the cloud. Now, if you look through interacting with the cloud, you say the first module is an overview of what you expect from this module. Then using Google Cloud, the lab, intro, working with Google Cloud. Very important. Very, very important. These labs are important. You see, if you started from the foundation, okay, you will definitely run into labs. Where you see, let me zoom in a bit. Okay, where you see this icon on the left of this word lab, that tells you that's a lab that is clickable. It should be clickable. Okay, now when you get here, as you progress through the module, you are expected to open this lab and work on the lab. Several things to take note. Always open this lab in an incognito window or a private window. An incognito window is also called a private window. Private windows don't keep cookies. They don't remember you, so that when you're logging in, it doesn't confuse a previous cookie with the one you're currently setting. Okay, so another thing you need to take note is when you try to log in, after clicking the open button, you need to log in with the email that is associated with this program. Please don't use another email. If you do, you will not be able to log in. It doesn't know that email and it won't give you access to Quick Labs. Now, how do I open this in another window, a private window or an incognito window? You just simply place your cursor on it, right click, and then click select from the context menu, private window. This is an Opera browser. Mine is called private. If you use Chrome, it might be called incognito or something else. Okay, so once you open that, what's the next thing you do? Let's open that. The next thing you need to do is to use the email associated with the program and of course the password associated with the program. Once you do that, you will have access to the labs. Another thing to note, these labs have quotas. Okay, you're not expected to do this lab uncountable times. There's a limit to how many times you can use these resources. Now, for people that are part of this program, at least you should be able to work quite a bit on the lab. The first time you do the lab, you might not, it might time out and you will need to redo the lab. So once you do that and you have a problem, all you need to do is ask for help. Okay, so let me sign into this lab and see if I'll be able to start the lab. If I'm able to start the lab, then I go ahead and do the lab. If I'm not able to start the lab, most likely I'll have a quota error that tells me I've exceeded the number of times that I'm permitted to do this lab. Okay, so once that happens, all you need to do is click on help. Let's give it a second or two. Let the help icon appear properly. Okay, so you click here and there's a chat. Okay, click on the chat, your name and your email, of course. When you do that, tell them exactly what your which support department are you seeking to interact with. Quick Labs General and the rest of them. Just usually is this first one, this first option. And just type in anything in the message box, click and hit your return key, and you will be placed in the queue. And if you're the first person in that queue, then you get attended to immediately. Okay. All right, so I don't want to start this lab. I am saving my quotas. So it's possible I might start it and I get a quota error. It's possible that I'll start it and the lab starts without any issues. I don't want to waste this lab, so let me click and close this. Okay, so now that we're here, we've seen what we need to see. Please walk through the modules from the beginning to the end. You will run into these different labs that are part of the learning content, and it is essential that you do these labs. Remember, there is this first one says working with Google Labs. Before this lab, you have a video lab intro that introduces you to what basic knowledge and operations you should know to be able to work on the labs. So the presenter here would walk you through, tell you about the console. The console is simply your browser. You know, when you log into Google Cloud, it's simply your browser. While in that browser, we have what we refer to as a cloud shell, a shell. A shell is a tool you use to interact with the cloud. So all you do in there is you type in some commands, shell commands, as Linux commands, and hit enter and return or whatever, and it interacts and carries out these commands behind the scenes and gives you the result of that command that you asked it to carry out. Okay, so let's go back here. So this is for foundation. Now, this is for foundation studies. After you're done with this, and of course, if you look at the timing, cloud computing, the big picture is about an hour. Essential Google Cloud Infrastructure, foundation is 3 hours. This other one is 3 hours, 3 hours, 3 hours. Like I said, sometime I have 82% consumption. Now, what I would ask you to do is take that consuming all these hours is 100%. So come here, take 15 minutes, take an hour, 8 minutes, take an hour, 3 to 29 minutes, 3 hours, 18 minutes, 3 hours, 22 minutes. Take all the time, add them up. Whatever time you get is 100%. So if you want to measure where you are, okay, if you actually have consumed 10% or 10 hours of content, you should be able to calculate that. So if all the time summed up here gives us 100%, you will now say, what would 10 hours give me? You do the math and it tells you the percentage. So once you hit that percentage, you're definitely sure you have consumed what is required. Also, please note, if you're not new to Pluralsight, you definitely have some level of consumption. So watch the green bar below each of these video previews. They kind of tell you, they tell you how much of that particular module you have actually consumed. Make sure you can see this is white, and I see I've hit like 70% or so, 70 to 60%. This one I haven't done anything. These other ones, this one I have completed it. Okay, so that is that for that. So let's go back to the home. Okay, so you see we have deep dive. Let's click into that one. So once you're done with foundation, you go into deep dive. Deep dive will basically repeat things you've learned in the foundation, but there will be more content. There will be more detailed explanations, and the labs most likely the labs won't be as much as what you have in the foundation. So let's look through. So of course, once you click into it, please join that channel. Okay, so I have consumed this completely. Fundamentals of cloud computing, a bit more than the introduction that we had. Google Cloud Platform Fundamentals, Google Cloud Business Essential. As a cloud engineer, at some point you would progress in your career, and it's good to understand the business side of cloud computing. Then this content is new, developing a Google SRE culture, site reliability engineering. This is a section of the cloud service that spends time trying to make sure your deployments are monitored accordingly, monitored using metrics that can really tell you the state of that particular deployment, what you actually need to do to increase the performance of your application if your application is performing. So that's what site reliability engineering. So Google introduces us to that and asks, talks about in details about things that we need to know. And as the name suggests, beginner, that means they will go easy on us as you progress in your professional career. All right, so there you have architecting with Google Cloud Compute Engine. See, we talked about compute previously, and here we will go much more into detail. See the timing, 16 hours. So a lot is going to be covered here. Then we visit architecting with Google Cloud, with Google Kubernetes Engine in more detail. 10 hours, 16 hours. See how much time it is? Okay, so that's very important. Let's go into cloud fundamentals. Okay, so course overview, introduction to the course, cloud computing, the basics, infrastructure as a service, networking, cloud storage in the cloud, infrastructure as a service, security, comparing infrastructure as a service and platform as a service. Okay, software as a service. These are basic types of cloud. Okay, so you use this as you see it's more deeper than that of the foundation you go into, so you know what compute instances, which part of cloud computing computing instances belong to, which is infrastructure as a service, where you can provision a computer, several computers, scale in, scale out as much as you like. Then you have serverless deployments, where you write a function, and when the function runs, a virtual machine is created, and that command is run on that compute instance, and the results is given as feedback to you. And that's a function as a service. We have a software as a service, things like Gmail and the rest of them. Okay, so you just progress through. If you look at the structure of the content, it's been structured in a way that the previous content builds on the current one. The current content you're consuming builds on the previous one. If there was any previous one, it builds on that. So that's the means and way in which you should and you would interact with the platform to be able to get the best out of the platform. So if you want to know, let's go back to home. All right, so if I click on channels, okay, let's see what come up. That shows you the channels you belong to, and it's possible to create custom channels. I do that when I want to group a series of learning contents, and it's targeted towards a particular knowledge base that I want to acquire. I create a channel and then add the name of the channel and then pick these videos and attach them to those channels, so that when I open that channel, I will only see those particular contents and nothing else. So these are my channels. Let me click on this. Okay, no channel groups created by me. Okay, joined. Okay, so it filters the channels and lets you see what you did and what you did. So I created Terraform channel, GCP professional channel, weekend channel, AWS, JavaScript, DevOps, Android revision channel, and Python. Those are my own custom channels, and add videos to them, and that's it. So basically that's how to go about. That's what's expected. Like I started my video, if you have issues with your mail, you can't see the channels in your dashboard, be sure that's the email you signed up with. Search through your mail using filter words to find them. If you do find, then write to guards. Not write to guards. Just sign up out of that particular account and create a new account using that email. You should have access to those content. If you still don't do that, if you still don't have access, what you need to do is send a mail to support@pluralsight.com. When you do that, they would help to restore those content. And of course, if they need to work with us, the guards team, then they will reach out to us and we'll be able to do what we can to help you. All right, so kindly leave your likes. That will be most appreciated. And of course, leave your comments below the video. And of course, we'll get back to you. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.